Yeah, what's going on, people? It's your man, the White B, back once again. Big shout out to my doggy, Geroyd McAllister, for coming through and boosting up the coin. So, we got a South American one for you, man, right now. North American / South American. US market one, 100%. David Benavidez versus David Morrell. Now, I've got to talk for about a minute before I can play this video, because YouTube's rules, they can't have no swearing, and these cats, this Benavidez dude, he be talking the rah-rah, so I'm gonna waffle for a little bit. I ain't gonna lie, I got half cucked here, yeah, and my friend talked me out of it. I put a fiver on. I like backing underdogs, unless it's a blatantly one, it's a blatant bash, like Dubois versus Parker. I'm happy to back favourites, but in most of the time, if I think the fight's close, it makes sense to back an underdog. Morrell's at just over 2-1, which means you put a tenner on Morrell, you get £20 profit. Spark sterling. You put a tenner on Morrell, you get 20 queen heads back. 22 queen heads even, at the moment. You put a tenner on Benavidez, you don't even get a fiver profit. Is it that much of a thing? Listen, Morrell, he looked good until he didn't. He looked good until he fought someone half alive. His last fight was a stinker, man. I watched parts of it back. It was a stinker. He went life and death in that fight. The judges' scorecards don't reflect it, but he went life and death in that fight. He's got no other experience. We can say he fought one half decent dude, and he went life and death in that fight. So and he's got no experience. 11 fights he's had. Essentially, he's an amateur. Benavidez got damn near 30 fights, and he's fought Vosdick, Poo Andrade, Caleb Plant, David Lemieux, whatever. But these three here, his last 3 fights have been top operators. Plant's a world champion. Poo Andrade, world champion. Vosdick, former world champion. Morrell's still fighting Bummingtons. Even this cat here was never a world champion. This guy here is known for... The guy you went life and death with, Beterbiev dealt with in 5-6 rounds. Smoked on him. Puffed on him, seriously. Beterbiev did this dude here, Rajofi Kalajikadi, did him some serious harm. Proper. He proper filled him in. And what I often like hearing is, you know when someone fills someone in, and then a few fights later, someone else has a go on them. For example, I don't know, look at Wilder. Fury had a go on him, and then after Fury beat him, everyone says, oh, he's finished. Well, Beterbiev finished this dude here. Proper filled him in. This Rajofi cat. Morrell gets in there like 4 years, 5 years later. He goes life and death with him. So Beterbiev fights him at his best and smokes on him in 4 or 5 rounds. Morrell gets in there 5 years later and he goes life and death 50-50. It was a life and death fight, seriously. That said though, the same can be said for Vosdick. Benavidez's last fight was Vosdick. Vosdick's only been stopped once, and it was by Beterbiev, again, 5 years ago. So Beterbiev broke this guy, for all intents and purposes. Benavidez rocks up 5 years later, and he goes life and death in that fight. He did better than Morrell did, but it was still close. Again, when you think about the narrative of, how old is he? 37. So Beterbiev had a go on him when he was 32. And at the time, Vosdick was coming off the great win against Donnie Stevenson. Donnie Stevenson was the reigning champion for like 5 years. He was the king of the division at the time. Vosdick beat Stevenson, and then Beterbiev fills in Vosdick. So he beat the best Vosdick. 5 years later, Benavidez. So neither of these two cats can punch. What we do know is Beterbiev's a phenomenal athlete. He's another level. He really is. Nephilim. He's Nephilim. He's got... People say, oh, IB... The Nefanderals, they died 20,000 years ago. The Nefanderal's still here. The Nefanderal lineage, if you look at Beterbiev's structure, he's Nefanderal. That's what he is. Old school Nefanderal genetics. They don't make him that anymore. Yeah? People, listen. Most of you, man, when you get to 40 years old, your back ain't working, your knees are blown out. He's Nefanderalian. Do you understand that? Got this big skull here. Got double enforced skull. Double enforced fists and wrists. He's as strong as an ox. Strong as a Nefanderal. 100%. Anywho, now I've talked enough. Let's get to the brawl X-rated. Ain't no one seen before. Here's the press conference.
You know, now we're coming with energy. Not like this fucking pussy right here. Peace and love.
What was all that fucking shit that you were talking about back then? Look, now this guy's nervous. I'm gonna beat the fuck out of you. And I hope you don't have no fucking excuses. Because you look scared as fuck right now. To be honest, you can smile, you do all you fuck you want. But watch. When you step into that ring this Saturday, that's El Monstro's world. And you're gonna see exactly what the fuck I'm made of.
Is that dog or monster? What the hell? Is that dog or monster? What do you mean, bro? I mean, this name, the monster, is bullshit. Really bullshit. You don't have the name monster.
Tú vas a mirar quién es el monstruo el sábado, pendejo. You're gonna see who the fuck the monster is.
Te voy a decir a ti, en California tú quisiste que fuera así, vamos a hacerlo
Saturday.
Miedo no hay.
Fucking see.
Si tú quieres que fuera así, lo hacemos así. Miedo no hay. Miedo no hay, papi.
Yeah, Padrone. Come on, people.
Tú quieres que en California fuera así. Miedo no hay. Miedo no hay.
Cabrone. Come on, cabrone.
Miedo no hay.
X-rated brawl. This is X-rated. I've never seen before.
Saludos a Gallego. Y ese Luis de Cuba ya que se siente.
All right, gentlemen, we can grab our seats so we can continue on with the presser. We have a lot of people here.
Yo no soy los pencos, son los dos peleados míos aquí si no hay. Yo soy criado en la calle, tú no. No estás loco. Eso contigo y con todo el mundo para comerse por gusto. Y con todo el mundo afuera. Vamos a no, sí, para que ninguno salga los locos aquí. ¿Qué pasó? Para que eso es mentira tuya. Mentira tuya. Mentira tuya. ¿Qué cosa?
So there it is. There's the rah-rah. There's the clickbait title and the clickbait. What do you call it? Thumbnail for you, man. Moving on more substantially. Yeah. What was I going to say? I had some good bars lined up. They're completely gone now. And that was it. Watching back Morrell's last fight against this Rajovi cat, I don't think Morrell's a 12-round fighter, is the truth. I don't think he's got 12 rounds in him at any pace. Just don't think he has. God knows why I put a fiver on him. Any money at all, to be honest. He didn't look to me like a 12-round fighter. He was blowing. He lost that 11th round. He got punched up in the 11th round for sure. And the commentators were saying this fight's close. Now, whatever you say about Benavidez, he's proven it. He can't punch with toffee. And when you can't punch with toffee, what that does... so you can't punch with toffee. That obviously means you can't punch. That said, when you can't punch with toffee, it means you constantly go 12 rounds. And that's what you see here. Tell you, he did punch up Pupu Andrade. He filled Pupu Andrade right in for him in 6 rounds. I mean, look, I can't take a dude with these dreads serious, man. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. I can't take a dude with them dreads like that serious. Whenever I see a dude with dreads here, I'm not saying I'm the best example, or man bun and whatnot. But when I say a dude with dreads, especially in boxing, even with me when I'm doing sparring and recording it, when you get bopped here and your bun goes flinging, it's not a good look. It's really not a good look at all. It makes you look like you're getting punched up. So when this dude's dreads are flying in the air, man, it's not good for him. So he had no chance, essentially. Coming in with that wig there, he was never going to win against Benavidez. And the fact is, he got his wig punched off. Yeah? Fact. If you watch that fight back, Andrade versus Benavidez, you can see one of his dreads on the canvas. He punched it off. He pushed his wig right. Look at his 5-finger head looking out, dude. That was, to be fair, this picture was taken after Benavidez pushed it back. He probably had a 3-finger head before. Bash! Pushed his dreads right back for him. So yeah, you can argue probably at the top level. Pupu Andrade, he was a world champion at 160. Everyone was saying everyone was ducking him. So that's not a bad... I mean, Benavidez has got good names on here, to be fair. He's got decent names. Plant, again, he can't punch for toffee. Vosdick can't punch for toffee. But Andrade, he did stop. All in all, Benavidez has shown, even in the Plant fight or the Vosdick fight, he can fight for 12 rounds. We can't say the same for Morrell. So I think the odds in reality are probably fairly priced. I was more... When people have only had 10 fights... You look at their KO ratio and you're like, yeah, he can really punch. And that was the narrative building up. That's why people were pushing for this fight. It wasn't really based in reality. It was the fact that Morrell kept stopping people. But when you look at his resume, there's pure bum of the months on here. There's not one name. He's not fought one name. It was all based on, and it shows you how gullible the public are, like myself. All you got to do is get a dude in there for a bunch of bums, knock them out in a few rounds, and you think, wow, he's unstoppable. The first dude who gets in there who's got any real championship experience in this Rajovi cat. Morrell can't do nothing in there. No knockdowns. And he was hitting him clean as well. And again, I do have to say, I really do rate Beterbiev because it's shown now, 5 years after he stopped people, the new batch, Morrell and Benavidez, can't do nothing with them. Benavidez couldn't put Vosdik down. Morrell couldn't put Rajovi down. That's what he couldn't do. So Beterbiev's phenomenal. And you best believe, if you put Bivol, you put Bivol in there with Vosdik, it'll be a 12-round stinker like you've never seen before. Bivol would win, but it'll be 12 rounds stinking the place out. He ain't stopping nothing. So Beterbiev, I've got some money on Beterbiev as it is. You're going to fill Bivol right in this time. He gives serious love. I spoke to people close to the situation. They told me Beterbiev's coming to do him some proper arm this time. He can't punch. That's the problem. When you can't punch, Beterbiev knows what he felt in there. He didn't feel nothing. Yeah, and I rate Bivol. He's going to try harder, but you can't punch, man. You couldn't get no respect in there. When you can't get no respect, what you can do? Yeah, what you can do? There's nothing you can do. They're born as such. You can't. Bivol's been training for 20 years. If he had any power, he'd have it by now. There's no amount of special super duper training that he can do that's going to magically make him punch. So anyway, I've digressed, but listen. The last thing I want to do is talk about. I got it somewhere. The CompuBox stats of their last fight. I don't know what I was thinking. I guess I was just, again, I was sexualized by the power. I thought, yeah, Morrell can punch and Benavidez can't punch. Neither can punch like that. Neither are phenomenal punchers. And I'd argue Vosdik's better than the dude that Morrell fought. And you can see here, Benavidez landed 43% of his shots against Vosdik. Morrell only landed 28% of his shots against a dude who, in my opinion, is lower level than Vosdik. If nothing else, he's never been world champion. So, Morrell Jr., he wasn't getting off on this Kaladisi cat. He wasn't getting off on him. He got 35 punches. In fact, let's have a look at the totals. So, Morrell threw 47. Sorry, he threw 470 punches and landed 134. Benavidez threw 520 punches and landed 223. He's probably going to get punched up, Morrell. Will he get stopped? The problem with his resume is, he did get rocked. That's the thing. In his last fight, Morrell got rocked by that dude, that random dude that Beterbiev had to go on in 5 rounds. He got rocked. And it took him a while to get back to it. And when you don't have a resume, we don't know if Morrell can really take a shot. He's never been in there with someone who is a top level. Yeah, when you're in there with fish food, you might look like the hardest man alive, right? We won't know what he's like until then again, Benavidez can't punch. But again, whether Benavidez can punch or not doesn't determine the fact that this guy might be chinny. I don't think he's not Amir Khan's nephew. Sorry, he's not Amir Khan's brother, but we'll find out. Because he was rocked in his last fight against a dude. I don't think this guy can punch. Let's have a look at his KO ratio. So the last dude, he's not bad, 72% KO ratio. Who's he fought though? Sullivan Barrera. He was knocking around at one point. He was alright. So maybe this guy's probably better than... But he's having 10 rounders, man. He's having 10 rounders. He's having... Oh, wow. Oh, wow. So before Beterbiev punched his head right in for him, he was having 8 rounders. So I don't know how this guy got into a world title fight, to tell the truth. This is what I'm telling you, man, as well. You can hack the system. This dude's having 8 rounders. The 2 fights before he fought Beterbiev, he's having 8 rounders. That's ridiculous. One of the guys he knocked out in round 1 was 13 and 28. 28 losses. How do you go from beating a dude who's 13 and 28? I'm being funny, yeah? I could beat someone who's 13 and 28. I'll take my chances, right? If it gets me a world title shot. It's ridiculous. I don't know how they work these numbers out, man. It's mad. But it was 5 years ago. Anyway, who have I got winning? If I had to put money on it, this is one, from the gambling point of view, I'd leave this one alone, to be honest. Benavidez has been down as well. Benavidez got put down early in his career by a dude. Where was it? Let's have a look who he got put down by. Benavidez got put down about 5 years ago. It was a flash knockdown. Let's have a look somewhere. Gavril, that was it. Gavril put him down in round 12. And that fight was a split decision as well. He rematched him though, and he put it right, and he won basically every round, essentially. So that was 8 years ago, but your chin is your chin. That Gavril dude must have been good though, because Benavidez was stopping everyone. Those are his first 2 decision wins, 2 on the trot. I think Morrell's going to go the distance. Maybe that's a bet, you know. Let's have a look at the odds for that. The odds on the fight going the distance, which means, in fact, this is the money. This is where the money's at, people. But you've got to put a lot on. The fight going the distance, you put a tenner on, you get about a $5 profit back. That's where I think the edge might... If that's a gun to my head, I'll probably put a tenner on it, actually. Let me cancel the... I'm going to cancel the Morrell one for a $5. Get rid of that. And put it on here. Put a tenner on the distance. Can Morrell get stopped, though? I'd like to think he's cute enough to negotiate. Do you know what I'm saying? His defense looks okay. I think he'll know what to do. I think he'll be like a bit like Plant. But yeah, I've got Benavidez winning on points. What are the odds for Benavidez on points? Benavidez on points, you put a tenner on, you get about £11 profit back. Really, I shouldn't only put a little money on these ones because they're just gambling addiction plays, essentially. I've got no business. The truth is, I've got no business involved in this. There's nothing sweet here. I'm just addicted to gambling. I've got to put a little piece of bread on. That's what this is here. This is over trading, folks. You shouldn't do this one here. These are the kind of ones you leave alone. When there's no real value here at all. But I'll have a dabble on Saturday. I ain't gambled for ages, to be fair. Get some gambling buzzes going. So yeah, I think if I gun to my head, I think the most likely outcome from this fight is the fight going the distance. But the odds a bit leave it. It's not like you're getting... I prefer to have odds that are 1-to-1. Then you know you've only got to win one bet and lose one and you're back to zero kind of thing. These kind of ones here, I have to get 2 of these right. I have to get 2 of these bets right to make up for any loss. So it's like, you know, I like the ones like Dubois versus AJ, where you got Dubois at 3-1. Those are like, whatever. It's a 50-50 fight, right? Going into Dubois versus AJ, it's arguably a 50-50 fight. So if you're getting 3-1, you got to be all over that. There's no value here, to be honest. Don't gamble on this unless you're addicted and you're degenerate. If you're degenerate and you're addicted, then go with the fight going distance, in my opinion. Anyway, let me know your thoughts, people. I'd go with Benavidez broadly. Outside of gambling, who's going to win? Benavidez on points. Can you gamble on it though? Just put a tenner on, you get... I mean, it's pretty certain. What's Morrell going to do? Maybe that's where it is. I was just saying. I like odds that are 1-to-1. Well, you can get Benavidez by decision at 1-to-1. You see that one there? In fact, I'm going to do this now. I'm putting a bid in for Benavidez by decision at 3-to-1. You can get it currently at about 2-to-1. Sorry, 1-to-1. So let's see what happens there. If that fails, that'll be wicked. If we get that one in. Yeah. That's where the value is actually. Benavidez on points. Morrell ain't going to win. Morrell ain't going to win. Watch Morrell clip him down the first round. I get cuckolded, man. Watch that one there. That's what will happen next, man. Morrell will just catch him out of nowhere. Yeah, chinny looking ass. Anyway, let me know your thoughts. Smash the like button, subscribe, like off the bell, 100%. There's no doubt about this one. People stop it.